The Checkbook Control IRA LLC. What is it? Who should have one? What are the problems? And what solutions does it solve? First, what is a Checkbook Control IRA LLC? If you go online and search this up, you're going to get a lot of different opinions and a lot of different explanations as to what this is. So let's dive into it and just talk about it real briefly. First, when somebody is mentioning Checkbook Control IRA LLC, let's start it from the beginning. What they're really talking about is having an IRA, most likely a self-directed IRA, where the self-directed IRA is going to be a shareholder of an LLC. A lot of times it's a single member LLC, meaning the IRA owns 100% of the LLC, but the managing member of that LLC is the IRA owner themselves. What this allows them to do is set up a bank account linked to that LLC where the IRA owner has access to the funds, therefore giving them checkbook control and give them the ability to write checks for their IRA's investments. Now, there are a lot of people that set these up, but I would always caution people before you do that, understand the risks and the problems that these might present. Now, first, a quick history lesson about Checkbook Control IRA LLC so we know where they originated from. If you look back, there's a case in 1996. Look up Swanson versus Commissioner. If you read this case, you'll see that a gentleman by the name of Swanson, who had set up two Checkbook Control IRA LLCs, where he was the managing member of the LLCs and his IRAs were the sole shareholders, continued to proceed and do prohibited transactions with those LLCs, and he found himself in court with the IRS. Keep that in mind. What he did with these Checkbook Control IRA LLCs is what got him in court with the IRS. Now, to make a long story short, he ended up winning the case against the IRS, but not really off merit. It's clear by the court case that Swanson clearly did things that were prohibited based on the IRA rules, and he should have lost the case, and he should have had his IRAs distributed to him with penalties and taxes along with it. But he ended up winning the case because the IRS's attorneys went after the wrong thing. So one of the things you have to be really cautious of is if you set up a structure like this and you need to be the managing member of the LLC owned by your IRA, this doesn't make prohibited transactions go away. You have to understand what you can and you can't pay for. For instance, you can't pay yourself some sort of salary or take some sort of monetary benefit for managing the LLC your IRA owns. Okay? You can't commingle funds, meaning you can't have your IRA own the LLC and then you inject personal funds into it. You also can't instruct that LLC by instructing it to make investments with you personally. That's self-dealing. So you have to be very cautious and very aware of the IRA rules when you set this up. But it does provide some solutions for certain investors because it gets them access to the money or access to the checkbook. And that's the main reason people set these up. Now, for instance, if you're going to buy an investment with your self-directed IRA and that investment has a lot of moving parts, right? Maybe you're doing some rehabs and you've got to cut a lot of checks to contractors and checks to Home Depot and things like that. Well, it might make sense to have a Checkbook Control IRA LLC so you can write the checks and you can do all those little items without having to contact Nuview every time. Also, it helps on certain investment strategies. For instance, if you're buying property at auction, live auction or online auction, a lot of times the auctioneers or the trustees will require that you make payment on your winning bids at the time that you win the bid, which could be same day. Now, that doesn't give Nuview an opportunity to process anything because it's happened so fast. So if you need access to the funds, a Checkbook Control IRA LLC could help you in that situation. But again, I remind you, make sure you understand the IRA rules because once you invest your IRA into an LLC that you're managing, there's no oversight. We don't see the investments happening in the LLC. So does it work for a lot of investors? Yes. And a lot of people have a misconception that they need an LLC in order to self-direct their IRA, which is a really, really big misconception. And be cautious of companies that only allow you to do that structure. Companies that have that structure or that product and that's it, there's no one size fits all when it comes to self-directing your account. So when it comes to a Checkbook Control IRA LLC, let's recap. Can it be done? Yes. Are there cautions? Yes. Make sure you understand the IRA rules first. Does it give you checkbook access? Yes. But make sure you understand what can and can't be paid for out of this structure. Can you self-deal? No. You still can't do prohibited transactions just because you have the checkbook. And remember, there's no oversight with these types of structures. And remember, just because someone set one up that you know doesn't mean that you set one up. So consult with one of my IRA specialists, have them walk you through, ask you some simple questions, and find out if it's right to you, because very frankly, there might be better solutions than a checkbook control IRA LLC that maybe you haven't thought of yet. That could be easier and cheaper, but make sure you understand the options first before setting one up. For more information, continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Facebook, where we go live every Wednesday with our Wednesday workshop. And for more information about self-directed IRAs, you can also go to our website, www.nuviewtrust.com.